you approach these conversations and it's like, here's what I can talk about. Here's what I can't talk about. And inevitably they ask questions about things you can't talk about. And so you're constantly reminding them, oh, you just went somewhere I couldn't go. We were doing great. And all of a sudden you just went off a cliff, right?
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Had a listener reach out to me recently, sent me an email. By the way, you can send me an email about anything you want me to deal with on the air, the coach at theappraisercoach.com. But she asked me, what do you do, Dustin, about angry borrowers? What do you do about angry agents? When someone calls and they're upset about the value and you can't really talk to them about value, what do you do? I want to answer that question today, but first I want to remind you that we are sponsored by three great companies, Alamode being number one. It is number one in the software across the nation for appraisers, and you should be using them. I am. Alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. DataMaster, of course, is rolling out DataMaster 6 across the country. This is an amazing program, folks. Basically allows you to do a whole appraisal before you even import it into whatever software you're using. It's amazing. It is found at datamasterusa.com. Again, it's datamasterusa.com. And finally, we are sponsored by OREP Insurance. OREP, of course, is the E&O that I use because it saves me money and gives me way more benefit than I could get otherwise. Again, it is orep.org for more information. Okay, folks, we've all dealt with this. In fact, we deal with it on a constant basis. We all do. We deal with angry borrowers, angry agents, individuals who are very upset with the appraisal that they just got. And then we run into this dichotomy of, well, can I even talk to them? Let's deal with that question first. Can you even talk to them? Okay, so the answer to that is yes. Yes, you can talk to an angry agent. Yes, you can talk to an angry borrower. The problem is you can only talk to them about certain things. We all know that there's when you're doing lending work, there's some agreements that you have that that you're dealing with your client, and your client is not usually the borrower, is not usually the agent. Your client is typically the lending institution, and consequently, without permission from the client, you can't talk about value-related things, okay? And the reason for that is obvious, I think, to everybody. But I think we do take this a little bit too far as appraisers. I think that we sometimes throw out the bathwater and the baby together because we simply say, no, I can't talk to you. You're not my client. Well, that's not necessarily true. For example, somebody calls you up and they think that you mismeasured their home, okay? They think that they have 150 square foot more than what you put on the report. Okay. Can you talk to that individual? Yes. Yes, you can. You can talk to that individual. You can go through the process of explaining, how you measure and the standards that you use and what you used and what have you. If there's a typo, if there's a mistake, if there's, a difference of opinion on an appraisal report, you can talk to that individual. Here's the problem though. What ends up happening is a lot of times you go from talking about square footage to talking about value, okay? Because here's the jump that's made, right? You've all been there. Well, Dustin, I think that you mismeasured my home, and I think it's actually 200 square foot more than what you've put, and I know you deal with this ANSI thing, but I'll tell you that attic space, I don't care if you can stand up in it, it's worth blah 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 blah. You see what we've already done? You see that word that just came up? It's worth right? And I think the comparables that you used are crap because they're not as big as my house. You see what we just did? And these adjustments, oh my gosh, you see what we just did? See, here's the problem. I would say 9 times out of 10, I don't think that is an exaggeration. I really don't. 98% of all stats are made up on site, right? I don't think that 9 times out of 10 is an exaggeration that those types of discussions, I'm going to call them discussions, can lead and often do lead to questions about value. And then where are you? Okay. Here's the problem. We at Appraisal Precision pride ourselves on having top-notch customer service. Okay, we have great people who answer the phones, and I think I treat people with respect when I talk to them on the phone. I think that our goal is to have great customer service, right? The problem is you're trying to be helpful. You're trying to talk through them about mistakes that are made. You told me I have 2.1 baths and I've got 2.5 baths. You've all had these discussions, right? And they often lead, and I'm talking most of the time, lead to discussions about value. Why did you use this comp? Why did you use that comp? Why did you make this adjustment? Why did you come in so low? Last appraiser 4 months ago came in 10% higher than you. Why did you come in so much lower? Has the market really changed? All of these questions come up because, they're upset, right? They're upset and they're angry and they're grasping at straws and they didn't get their loan. And even if they did get their loan, they're offended, that their castle is not the castle they thought it was, or that you thought it was, as the case may be, and they're angry, okay? But the problem is they'll come and they'll talk to you about something that may not be value related particularly. I mean, it's all value related, but you know what I'm saying? It may not be off limits to talk about. And it often leads into discussions that are off limits to discuss, okay? So how do you handle this? Well, I'll tell you, I have handled these things differently over the years. Prior to 2008, prior to HVCC, I was much more open to having discussions with my attitude. If a realtor called, agent called, loan officer called, a borrower called. Again, this was years ago. Things were a little bit different. Okay, I would do my best to talk to them. Now, I was always careful about when that discussion led into value, when that discussion led into territories that I really could not discuss without the client's permission. But I'll tell you, I woke up one day and I said, Dustin, what the hell are you doing? Every single time you have a conversation like this, it leads to a place you don't want to be. And if your goal is good customer service, Dustin, then maybe you shouldn't talk to them at all, because here's what happens. You approach these conversations and it's like, here's what I can talk about. Here's what I can't talk about. And inevitably they ask questions about things you can't talk about. And so you're constantly reminding them, you just went somewhere I couldn't go. We were doing great. And all of a sudden you just went off a cliff, right? And then it looks like you're being rude. It looks like you're being stubborn. It looks like you're not being a very good customer service rep, right? And so I went through a period of time when I just wouldn't even take those calls at all. I just wouldn't take them. And of course, that leads to its own set of problems. And then you start getting Google reviews like this. But this individual won't even take my calls. And what a jerk. This appraiser, thinks he's the king of the world, and he appraised my property low, and he won't even take my calls, and he won't even talk to me. What kind of customer service is that? Of course, the general public doesn't understand that, there's a reason I'm not taking the call. And so I've gone to a different philosophy. And the philosophy basically is we take things on a case-by-case basis, and we try to read between the lines. When they call the office, and I do have a gatekeeper, I don't answer my own phones. And I think that's key, by the way. If you're not doing that, appraisers, oh my gosh, change your world to get somebody to answer your phones for you. And don't say you can't do it. I've helped hundreds of appraisers get to that point. Anyway, the point is, we take it on a case-by-case basis. If it looks like it might be a problem, if it looks like it's going to get escalated, then I may take the call. And there's a way that I set it up that is, I think, pretty helpful. I'm going to share this with you. The way that I set this up is by listening first. Okay, listening first. And so when they call, I listen and I just hear what they have to say, and I let them get it all out before I answer, because typically they are calling up with some pretty high emotions, which makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. So they call and they're emotionally upset. They're angry. They're going to take it out on you. I just listen. Okay, rather than setting the stage up front, because what I used to do is take the call and say, no, before you begin, let me just tell you what I can talk about, what I can't talk about. It already puts them on edge. It already puts them on guard. So I just say, hey, what can I help you with? And I let them get it all out. And there's actually a formula that I use, and it's one I learned from a mentor of mine, actually. And I want to share that with you when we get back from the break. But I'll first remind you that we are sponsored by OREP Insurance. OREP is my E&O. Why? Well, about 3-4 years ago, folks, I switched to OREP. To be honest with you, I switched because they wanted the sponsor here, and I don't take on sponsors that I don't use. And I was a little bit skeptical. I was friends with the people at Working RE Magazine, who also run OREP Insurance, and so I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. I don't see how it can be any different than what I'm using, folks. It was different than what I was using. Trust me, and I was using the same company for years and years and years. OREP is different. They will save you money. The benefits that they give you, the webinars, the continuing education, the constant tools that they're pushing out. Absolutely an amazing company who cares about appraisers. Folks, I don't care what E&O you are currently with, you need to check out OREP, and you can do that by going to the internet at OREP, OREP.org. Again, it's OREP.org. We are sponsored, of course, by DataMaster. DataMaster is rolling out DataMaster 6. What is DataMaster 6? Well, not only will it save you 30 to 60 minutes per report, you can practically do an appraisal in the new DataMaster. It is absolutely amazing. All of the data is right. I'll tell you, the most exciting thing for me is when I import through the current DataMaster, it's awesome. I mean, it saves me 36 minutes per report, but a lot of times I have to go back to the MLS to really decipher, what is the quality? Is it a Q4? Is it a Q3? What is the condition? And I do that by looking at interior photos. I do that by looking at the statements that the agents make on the data sheet that's not imported into the grid. You know what I'm talking about? The paragraph. Folks, the new DataMaster 6 puts that all in front of your eyes. You're not going back to the MLS. Once you pick those comps and you import them into DataMaster 6, all of the data that you need to make great decisions as an appraiser is right there. Folks, check them out. Go to datamasterusa.com. One more time, it is datamasterusa.com. Finally, we are sponsored by My Software for appraisals. It's the software that I've been using for over 2 decades, and you should be too. It is an amazing, incredible, wonderful software that will change the way that you do appraisals. Why? Because all of the built-in tools that just come with the package that you choose through a la mode, the mobile, the side-by-side comparison, the ability to undock your addendum so you can write on one screen while you're doing the grid on the other screen. The mapping features, the upload features, the ability to receive and send orders through their software. It is comprehensive, folks, and it is easy to learn. It is easy to do. It is an amazing program. It is a la mode. It's alamode.com is where you need to go, or pick up the phone and call them at 800-ALL-A-MODE. All right, folks, we are back. We're talking about angry borrowers, angry agents, people that call you up, and you run into this situation where they're upset, they're angry, and there's certain things we just can't talk about without the client's permission. So here's the first thing that I do, okay? In order to continue to serve, okay, and I use that word intentionally, to serve the individual who's calling me, okay? They may not necessarily be my customer, okay? We've been talking today a lot about customer service, and I know some of you are probably yelling at your earbuds and saying, Dustin, they're not your customer. It's not customer service. Well, here's the thing, folks. Everybody's our customer. I mean, when you're running a small business like we are, everybody's your customer. They are, because everybody is part of this world that we call social media, right? When you do work for whoever, anybody can do a review, and I wish that was different, but it is. That's just the way it is. And so, when I talk about customer service, I'm talking about persona. I'm talking about your ratings, if you will, your persona in the marketplace. And so we deal with individuals that call up and they're upset and they're angry and they're livid. Right. And they want to talk to the appraiser. They want to talk to the appraiser. They want to talk to the appraiser. Why? Because they want to talk about, how he or she got it wrong. And all of these little things that really don't make a hill of beans difference, right, in value. But they think they do. How could you do this? And how could you do that? And so here's the thing. Okay. Here's a little system. Oh, by the way, let me back up. What I was saying is the process that I go through. Okay. The process that I go through is the first thing that I say to them is, hey, I want to help you. Okay. I want to help you. I think that puts us on an even playing field, that it's not me against them. It's not them against us. It is, hey, I want to help you. Here's what we need to do to move forward. Okay. And that, I think, calms the nerves a little bit, to say, hey, I want to help you. Here's what we need to do. There's this process that we have to go through. And I don't like it either. And this is me talking to them. I don't like it either. There's a lot of red tape, a lot of hoops to jump through. And it really is a pain, but welcome to the lending world, right? But here's what we need to do. We need to go through the client, okay? And I know you paid for the appraisal most likely. But the client on the report happens to be the bank or the lending institution or what have you. Tim Anderson, who's a frequent guest on here, once said that you may have paid for your child's education, right? But they're the ones that got the diploma, right? So who is the client, right? They may have paid for the appraisal, but they are not the client. And I think if you explain that in a kind way, and in a way that's understanding, get on their side of the table. That's the main thing, is get up, walk around to the other side of the table and say, hey, listen, I understand why you're upset. I do. I understand why you're upset, and I want to make this right. So I want to help you help me. Okay, here's what we're running into. The client is the bank, okay? And legally, I can't really do anything without their permission. And I always say written permission, okay? Certainly we can have verbal permission, but to me, I'd rather have written permission because then I've got a record of it, okay? So that's the first thing, is to help them to understand that you're on their side, that you want to help, but you're hamstringed, okay? You're tied. And you need to go through a process in order to do this right, okay? So here's the formula that I learned from a mentor of mine when you're dealing with emotional, angry individuals, okay? It's called ask, listen, repeat, relate, okay? And I'm still learning this whole process, okay? It's something I've got to remember. But when someone's upset, ask, listen, repeat, relate, okay? Let's go through them quickly. Ask is you're asking whether or not they want you to solve the problem or listen to the problem. Now, it's very easy when someone calls for an appraisal related thing, okay? You pretty much know that they want you to solve the problem. They don't want to just have you listen to them. But when you're dealing with, I don't know, a spouse, okay, who comes to you and is upset, okay, guys, I'm talking to guys here for a second. Guys, how many times have you tried to solve your wife's problems, right? And it didn't go so well, right? So, hey, do you want me to help you solve this problem, or are you just coming to me to have somebody listen? Okay. Now you may want to ask it a different way, but you're going to try to decipher, do they really want somebody to solve the problem, or do they just need a listening ear? Okay. Now with this situation with appraising, it's pretty obvious. Okay? It's pretty obvious that they want to have you solve the problem. Okay. They're not just looking for a listening ear, though. I've had those situations as well. Okay. Where we've talked through it and they're like, okay, well, I feel better. Right. Maybe they don't use those words, but it's very obvious that the tone, that the feeling in the conversation has changed dramatically, simply because they were able to, just kind of throw up all over you. Okay. All right. Number one, ask, do you want me to solve or listen? Number two, listen. Whether they want you to solve or not, you still listen. Okay. Listen to them. Listen to them. Okay. Let me say that one more time. Listen to them. That doesn't mean you interrupt them. Doesn't mean you jump all over them. Doesn't mean you correct them. Doesn't mean you start solving the problem. Listen to them. Okay. And by listening to them, you also say, is there anything else? Is there anything else? Let them get it all out. Trust me, this works. Okay. I used this the other day with an individual who was very upset at a value that I come in with. And I just kept saying, is there anything else? Is there anything else? And I know it sounds like you're a broken record and it sounds condescending, but it's not. Trust me. Is there anything else I can help you with? Is there any other concerns that you have with the appraisal? Anything else? And even if they ask about value, okay, let them ask about value. Why did you use these comps? It's a great question. Is there anything else? Okay, get it all out. Get it all out. Okay, and then you repeat back. Okay, this is the parroting. You repeat back. Use their same words. Use the same words that they said to you. I am really upset that you came in so low on my appraisal. Do not change it and say, so you're really angry that I came in so low on your appraisal? Now, I know that to you and I sounds like the same word. It's just a synonym, right? Upset, angry. I'm telling you, folks, people use words for a reason, okay? And when you repeat them back, it helps them to understand that you're listening, okay? So when they say, I'm very upset that you came in so low on my appraisal, and you say, okay, so I can tell you're really angry at no, that changed the whole dynamic, because now their mind is going to, wait a second, he used the word angry. And this all happens subconsciously, by the way, but he used the word angry. I used the word upset. Is this guy even listening to me? I'm telling you, this is proven science, guys. Okay. So use the same word. I understand that you're upset. In other words, it's not even a question. That would be a little bit goofy. Hey, I'm so upset at my value. So you're upset at my value or at your value? Yeah, that sounds condescending. That sounds goofy. Okay. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is saying things like, hey, I understand that you're upset. I would be too. Okay. Relate to them. That's step number 4. Relate to them. Okay. If I were in your shoes, I would be too. I would be angry as well. But I can promise you this, there is an answer to all of these questions. There really is. Okay. And because there's an answer, I want to help you get to that answer. Notice I haven't even answered their question yet. I asked, do you want me to solve the problem or listen to you? Now, again, you may not want to do that with this situation because it's pretty obvious why they're calling. But you may, do you want me to help you solve this problem? Well, yes, hell yes, I do. Okay, tell me all of the problems. Let's just get them all out. Okay. Well, you did this wrong. You measured it wrong. You chose the wrong comp. You made bad adjustments. You did that. Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? You keep doing that until they are exhausted. Really? No. Okay. No, that's it. That's it. If we can solve those problems, that's it. Okay, great. So you are upset at value because of, and you're repeating back. And by the way, you might want to do this as you're listening. Okay, these are not a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 process necessarily. You can continually use these as you work through. And by the way, this works not just for angry borrowers and angry agents. This works for anybody who is emotionally upset and who needs to vent. Okay, this is a great tool. It really is. I've started using it in the last couple of weeks. It works really well when I remember to do it, and the more skilled I get at it, the better off it is. And it's getting better and better as I use it more and more often. Okay, it's like learning a new language. It's like learning German, right? The more you use it, the more you utilize it, the better you're going to get at it. Okay, and it's the same thing here. So, number 1, ask. You're asking whether you are, if they want to just vent or if they want you to help solve the problem. I would say 99% of the time, if they're calling you about value, they want you to solve the problem. Okay. Listen to them. And by listening to them, you are repeating what they're saying. Okay. So you are upset because you believe that I marked that you had 2.1 baths and not 2.5 baths. Okay. Is there anything else? I didn't answer the question. I could have. Okay. Just say, is there anything else? 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 And you keep going over and over and you keep repeating back what they're saying. Okay. I would be upset too. Okay. This is the relation. Hey, I can see why you feel that way. I can see why it looks that way. So you're reading that it's 2.1 baths, right? And you believe that, and I know this sounds silly. It's just like, get to the point, Dustin. Trust me, folks, when people are emotional, they don't necessarily want you to get to the point. They really don't. They want to be heard. They want to understand that you are listening, and you're going to go a long way. Notice I've not broken any rules at this point. I've not talked about value. I've not talked about adjustments, not talked about my comp selection, okay? I'm simply repeating back what they said to me, right? And I'm relating, hey, if I were in your position, I would be upset too. I can see why that looks that way to you. I promise there are answers to all of these questions. And here's the key. However, I'm a little bit hamstrung and I want to help you out. But here's what I'm running into. Because even though you paid for the appraisal, because the bank is the client, I've got to get written permission from them in order to answer all these questions. And I can't wait. Notice this, okay? I can't wait to answer all these questions because there are great answers to all of them. So here's what I want to do. And I think if we go about this from two different angles, we'll probably find success. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a hold of your loan officer and say, hey, I want to talk to the appraiser, and the appraiser wants to talk to me and wants to answer these questions, but we need written permission from the client. Can you get that for us? And I will do the same thing on my side. And then hopefully both of us pushing from either side. Notice that I'm helping, that I'm getting on their side of the table. Hopefully both of us pushing from either side. In other words, hey, this is out of my hands. I can't answer your questions until I have written permission from the client, but let's work together to get that permission. That's what I'm basically saying. Hey, I'm on your side. I would be upset too. Holy smokes, I can't believe all these things that have come up, and I can't wait to answer them for you. Let's get on the same side of the table, and we'll push that client to allow us to be able to talk to one another, and life is going to be peachy at this point, okay? And then we work together. See how this works? Okay, ask, listen, repeat, relate, and then step number 5, rinse and repeat. You keep going over and over and over until they are satisfied, okay? Now, notice I didn't answer any of their questions. Notice I didn't talk about value. By the way, I record all of my phone calls in my office, incoming and outgoing, and a conversation like this would go right in the work file, so that there's never a, well, he said or she said or they did talk about value when I called on such and such date. No, I've got the recording. But notice I didn't even answer any of their questions. I simply said there are answers to the question. I want to help you. But we need permission from the client to do so. And so let's work together to get that permission. Now, I can say probably 50% of the time, the client says no. And it doesn't matter if we call and they call. But at that point, I'm not the bad guy. I want to help, right? I still am a little bit because they're still upset at value. But the bottom line is, hey, this guy wanted to help and the client wouldn't let him. Okay, so there's a process that you go through. Again, it's ask, solve, or listen. Okay, listen, repeat. Use the same words. Relate. Okay, maybe share a story or validate their concerns, and then you rinse and repeat until things are a little better. That's how I deal with angry clients and customers. I've not always done great with that over the years, but I'll tell you, it has helped over the years to be able to get to the point where I'm at, where I now have a coach mentoring me how to deal with situations that I wouldn't be able to deal with on my own. Okay. The coach has a coach. The appraiser coach has a coach. I have a current mentor that I'm meeting with every couple of weeks who is great. And I hope that you have a coach as well. Okay. Whether that be myself or somebody else, every business owner needs a coach. If you're interested in doing some mentoring one-on-one with me, I would encourage you to reach out to my assistant. Her email address is the assistant at theappraisercoach.com, theassistant@theappraisercoach.com. I meet on a regular basis with appraisers across the country we do a Zoom meeting. Okay. So it's like Skype, or we do it over the phone, or we meet in person on occasion, but usually it's over the computer where I see you, you see me, we talk, and you tell me, where you want to go. We get a vision, we get a game plan put together, a business plan put together, and we work through it. And you're held accountable, and you set goals, and it is amazing to watch the transformation of appraisers. If you're interested in that, please, again, reach out to Lee, my assistant. Her email address, one more time, is theassistant@theappraisercoach.com, theassistant@theappraisercoach.com.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
This the word is coming to my mind. It's a family friendly program, Dustin.